Mr. Wolford here. It is Tuesday the 12th of August. I am in Sturgis, South Dakota. The 85th rally is officially ended and I have finally got some work done to my bike, so I'll be heading back to California tomorrow. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted a video, so I've been trying to gather my thoughts and figure out what it is that I wanted to say to the camera. There's been so much ground covered since the last time I got on here. I think I was still in Oregon when I did that last cafe thoughts. So I went from Florence, Oregon, all the way down the coast back to home in California. I got my dog and my horse squared away. Thank you again for my friends who are helping me back home. And doubled back for Sturgis because I had a little bit of FOMO going on. I thought I was going to be missing out on the rally, and I got to say that I'm really glad that I showed up. This experience is certainly one of a kind. It's been an incredible summer, riding my motorcycle everywhere, and then to top it all off with a big anniversary rally with hundreds of thousands of people and motorcycles. Pretty cool experience. But I have been doing pretty good about keeping my my journal going. So I've got 2 or 3 entries in here, and if you don't mind, I think the best way to do this is for me to kind of go through, recap what I've written down, some of my thoughts over the past couple of weeks, because I know that there's some nuggets in there that I probably can't even remember right this second as I'm talking. So I wrote this July 22nd. In Echo Lake, Montana. I think I might have even read this one already. Let's see here. Let's start coming. Bear with me. I started this one August 6th in Sturgis, South Dakota. So I barely had time to collect my thoughts the past few weeks. I've covered more miles in the past 9 weeks than most people do in a year, and it's been absolutely amazing. I rolled over 16,000 miles when I pulled into Sturgis 2 nights ago. Seems like a milestone worth acknowledging. It's certainly taken its toll on my body and my diet. I need to be more disciplined when I'm on the road, but it can be difficult. I continue to talk to God every day, all day. I believe He's talking back, as every day I continue to meet amazing and wonderful people. I've had a lot of time to sort things out in my head the past 9 weeks. As I reflect on my journey and the hundreds of people I've crossed paths with, I can't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. However, this singular thought keeps running through my head. What is the point? What's the point of all of this? I set out on a personal quest to put my loved one to rest, and now I just rolled over 16,000 miles, and it's only August. I try not to think too far ahead, but I can't help but to allow myself to daydream about what the total miles will be at the end of the year. It's not about the miles per se, not the totality of them, but the fact I had to travel each of them one at a time. Being on the road this long has taught me a few things. There's a part of my personality that has had a hard time with seeing things through at times. I don't know if it's the ADHD or the PTSD or a combination of both. Either way, there's been a few different moments on this trip where I kind of wished I was closer to familiar territory. Whether I was just exhausted, cold, wet, you name it, there's been times on this journey where the thought of my bed and dog made me long for home. But home is so very far away. So then what? Well, I sat back and observed my ego in action. Doubts, fears, questions. My ego is cunning and desperate to take the wheel. So I meditate while I ride. Sometimes it's the only way I can go another mile, let alone 100. I've got a few 1,000 mile days under my belt. Apparently that's a thing for bikers. Some clubs use that ride distance as a rite of passage to patch in. So I suppose I wanted to acknowledge that as well. But again, meditation and observing one's thoughts is crucial. Doing this daily, first thing in the morning, is the best practice. At least that's been my experience. If I don't get grounded and set intentions first thing in the morning, then more often than not, the momentum of life will get the better of me. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life. That's where our egos thrive, in my opinion. When our guard is down and when we're just going through the motions. So what's the point of all this? Why did I start a YouTube and a TikTok and make my IG public? Well, how's the saying go? Be the change that you want to see in the world. Maya Angelou, if I'm not mistaken. I try to walk a pretty tight line, and I've been letting loose a little, but I'm constantly checking in and setting intentions. Sometimes those intentions include having a beer in a cool old bar, in some new place I've never been. Aside from riding motorcycles and horses, it's one of my favorite things to do. I've met folks from all walks of life, from all over the world. So many entertaining conversations. Some about nothing at all, and some about the meaning of life. Right? I digress. So what's the point of all this? It's not, hey, look at me. I don't want attention, and I'm usually a pretty private person. But I'll share with my friends, and that's kind of how I've been the last decade or so. If I know you, then we're friends on social media, right? But I've never had a public profile before. But a good friend of mine brought up a good point when I was in Washington a week or three ago. If I want to push a message, I have to be genuine and authentic. And what a better way to do that than to be transparent. So here I am. I don't have it all figured out. I want to say that very clearly. I'm not sitting here telling everybody that I have it all figured out. I still have to face my demons daily, but I have learned to face them and not to run from or drag them around. So, this is the point. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I care about people. Losing my mom at a young age affected my life drastically. I guess on a personal level, I understand how crucial and significant one life can mean to someone. And to think, I almost did the same thing to my kids so many times over. I suppose that's always been the one thought that's kept me from following through. Thinking about how wrecked my kids, grandkids, my family would be if I took my own life. Heavy stuff, but that's the reality. That's why I'm riding all over the country. I know God is talking to me is taking me right where He needs me to be every day. But it's not autopilot. I am diligent about talking to God, about asking for guidance, about taking my problems to Him. I confess my sins daily and seek forgiveness. And that's usually when I set my intentions. So what's this path I keep telling everyone about? Well, it's a long, bumpy road, and there's no straight line. Everyone is on their own journey here and processes trauma differently. However, I personally believe we're all shaped by trauma. From a young age, we are molded by it. Some people experience more severe trauma than others, and some figure out how to transmute that energy into a fire, not a burden. I haven't quite figured out why yet, but I'm sure there are tons of variables at play to put the Michael Jordans and the Tom Brady's in the world. But my guess is there are some commonalities as well. I know for certain the way we show up in our lives day to day is a direct correlation to how well we've processed our trauma. I know this with certainty based on my own personal experience. Anyone that's known me for a long time can attest that I was a little crazy. Extreme, perhaps. My emotions, it was all over the map. From happy to sad, just like that, right? To angry. So, I was a hair trigger, emotionally all over the map, angry, sad, dependent on someone else for my happiness. That's when I started to learn about self-love. Don't make it weird. Sure, I've heard that phrase before, but I never actually thought about what it meant, let alone what it actually looked like. So I guess for us men, when we talk about self-love or loving ourselves, it's like, it didn't even make any sense to me, right? Like, okay, yeah, of course I love myself, but like, did I really? And how does that look? And what does that look like on a regular basis? So I started to kind of peel back those layers. All of this ties together, and that's my point. There's no simple answer, and we have to understand some things on some core levels. For starters, all of the pain and all of the pleasure in your life, all of it is temporary. It's all part of the human experience, and your avoidance of the pain and your attempts to sustain the pleasure are what are causing your suffering. At least that's how it worked for me. Appreciate each moment for what it is, pain or pleasure. It's not supposed to last forever. That means we have to face our fears, and feeling the pain that your ego has been trying to protect you from ever feeling again. So it's very counterintuitive, right? Naturally, you don't want to feel that feeling, that bad thing that happened to you or a loved one, and then you spend a lot of time, I spend a lot of time trying to either compartmentalize it or pretend it didn't happen or suppress it, right? And it eventually shows up. So you have to actually, the counterintuitive part is to let your guard down and to let those feelings take over. And don't do anything about it. Just let them run through your body, through your heart. It takes constant effort, or at least it has for me. And if I don't check in and set intentions, my ego throws his 2 cents in there at the first possible opportunity. So you have to trick your ego. And that's where cold plunges and showers and brushing your teeth with your support hand come into play, right? You have to start tricking chemistry in your body, start getting things to fire differently so you're ready to change your routine, because we're all creatures of habit, and even at some really core levels, especially when it comes to trauma and then how we show up daily. Exercise daily. You got to get those hope molecules pumping. Dieting. Your gut health is everything. That's why I feel crappy these past few weeks. But you got to trust your gut, and that's a real thing. Fasting, but not as a hunger strike, but as an opportunity to grow closer to God. I heard this saying once, and it said that food is Satan's secret weapon. And that helps me when I'm fasting, or when I start getting cravings while I'm fasting, because I'm doing it with intention to grow closer to God. When I remind myself that the devil's trying to trick me, it helps me stay on course. And you have to honor your emotions. So that means cry if you need to cry. Someone recently told me that you're never closer to God than you are when you cry. And I really liked that. It lines up with something else I learned. tears are the purest form of transmuted emotion that can't be put into words. I think I articulated that well. Taking a thought, a feeling, an emotion, going closer to God, transmuting it into physical form by way of tears. And the reason that has helped me is there's some pain that we carry that, man, it's coming up for me right now. It's funny. I don't even remember what I was saying. You have to honor it. Cry if you need to cry, let it come out. There's some things, that's what I'm saying, there's some things, there's some pain that no matter how hard I've tried, no matter how many no matter how many groups I've sat in, that words don't do it justice. Don't really explain the pain that I'm carrying. But when I heard that your tears are transmuted energy from emotional to physical form, man, it's like, all right, well, maybe just the tears are good enough, right? So thank you for giving me a moment. Some of my shit came up and I wasn't able to, I had completely lost my train of thought there for a second, so thanks for sticking with me. Let me see here. And sometimes you just gotta squirt some tears, right? The first time that I ever really honored my tears like this, I was out on a run, and I was doing sprints, and I started to think about the day that I found my mom dead. And I felt all of that emotional pain come up. And for a second I wanted to stop. I almost stopped, because all of a sudden for a second I was out of my zone, and then I realized, like, hell no, man, I'm gonna run harder. And it's like the funniest thing, I guess. I was doing wind sprints as hard as I could down this trail in Placerville while bawling my eyes out, and I ran as fast and as far as I could. I probably looked like a psycho, but I didn't care. I needed that energy out of me, and I'll share that it was the most cathartic moment of my life. I've told people about it in my men's groups and all kinds of things. I think that there's something there when you can get your physical and your emotional on the same level, especially if you're harboring pain. So. Yep. And I've been harboring pain for decades. So that's what I have written last here. I think that's some pretty good stuff. I've got some rules in here that I wanted to go over. Or maybe I'll save that for the next video because we're coming up on 20 minutes. But think about some conversations I've had this last couple of weeks. Even when I think that I'm not on the path, or rather I'm just kind of doing my thing from point A to point B, I'll find myself in situations like right now. Before I started this video 20 minutes ago, I'm sitting here at Main Street, Harley-Davidson Avenue in Sturgis, and an older couple walked by with a poodle, and I offered to take their picture, and then we got to talking, and the wife was in the Navy, their son is in the Navy at the War College, active duty, so they've got experience in that department. And the woman, I won't say her name, but she said that she had recently gone through a very traumatic experience, and that she has PTSD from that, and it shows up for her in random ways. And I gotta say that keeps happening, where I'll be talking to somebody, just having a genuine conversation, seeking to understand them before I want them to understand me. And at some point in that conversation, every single one of them, either the topic of PTSD on a personal level for that person, or suicide comes up. When I was in Montana, and I think I told you guys about this, but I told you about the woman who lost her daughter. But there was at least a dozen people, and I'm not exaggerating, every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times, and not military related, right? That had somebody in their life who had taken their own life. So it's dawned on me that yes, this mission that I set out for is veteran oriented, but we all struggle with mental health. And you don't have to be a veteran to have experienced trauma, or to have PTSD, or to have the relationships in your life affected. So I guess I'm doing this for everybody, and my only goal is that if I can help any one of you process your trauma, transmute it into something positive, free up some energy in your heart so you can receive joy, then I guess I feel like I've served a purpose in my life. I was very fortunate this last week, God bringing me to Sturgis. I was able to sit down. I did 2 different podcasts, one for the Roadhouse Show, one for the Scene Project, which is a veteran suicide-oriented organization here in the Midwest. And as a result of that, the Rapid City Post, which isn't a huge newspaper, picked up the article and talked about what I'm doing, and I'm just so humbled and honored by that. I guess I'm going to keep pushing my message. I'm going to keep riding around. I need to get back to California and get settled in, but my intention is to keep checking in, to keep posting videos, continue to write, continue to serve God. I guess just to be transparent and to share my life with you guys so we can learn from each other. Again, I don't have it all figured out, but I figured a few things out. I figured out how to handle pain. I figured out how to handle situations without getting angry. How to honor my emotions in the moment. How to chalk things up to being irritating as opposed to getting angry about them. I mean, it sounds so small and insignificant, but they're huge changes. And it all starts from your morning routine. You're setting intentions. You're taking care of your body. You're eating right. You're trying to find some sobriety, right? Like, I never try to judge anybody, but if you're never sober, it's going to be impossible for you to feel what you need to feel. So you have to stop numbing it out, walk through that fire, and then see how you feel after that, But changing up your routine and talking to God and dealing with your problems as they come at you and honoring your emotions, I think these are some of the key components to processing what you've been through and showing up and receiving joy in your life in the future. If we're constantly worried about the future or the past, it makes it very difficult for us to be present. And if we're constantly trying to control the future or run from the past, it makes it very difficult to be present. And if we think that the joy that we're receiving is something that we're supposed to have forever, we're going to eventually be miserable, right? Because it's not supposed to last forever. And if we wallow in our pain because we refuse to accept or process it, then we inevitably drag it around forever. This has been my experience. I'm not a doctor. I did stay at a Holiday Inn once. But I have a lot of experience with trauma. I have a lot of experience with loss. I have a lot of experience with pain And I know all too well how I have personally sabotaged nearly every single significant relationship in my life. I've been able to mend most of them. Some are far too gone, and I just had to walk away. For the ones that are important to me, my children, my grandchildren, my family, my close friends, I make a conscious effort every single day to show up better than I did the day before. And I don't always hit the mark, you know, I'm human. But by God, I set my intentions, and if I fall out of alignment, I make sure to get back in alignment, right? Say what I mean what I say. I mean, these are all things, it sounds straightforward and I guess maybe a little cliche, but it's had the most tremendous impact on my life and every relationship in my life that I feel compelled to share with you. And I guess I have an audience now, 230 something folks on this channel, and if I haven't said it yet, thank you all. Every single one of you have been the best part of my trip. I love going to new places. I love seeing new things. That's great. But the fact that I've talked to and have a record, essentially, of 230 something people who subscribe to my channel and are curious as to what I have to say, that means everything to me. So thank you all, and I hope that this video has helped some of you. I'm going to continue to put my stuff together here and see if I can come up with something a little more oriented towards the ride and my experiences and some of my lessons learned on the road. But I wanted to make it a point to sit down and to share some of my heartfelt feelings and thoughts as I've moved across this country the last few weeks, covering thousands of miles on my motorcycle. Tomorrow I have a 1,300 mile ride to get back to California. My grandson's birthday is coming up. We got a birthday party to get to on Saturday. So my goal will be to be back in California, Northern California, by Saturday, to be at Chuck E. Cheese's to celebrate with my loved ones. I think that's all I have for today. I want to thank everybody for following along and for listening. If you've made it this far, it means the world to me, and good on you if you are doing the work and you are consciously making an effort to better yourself every day, to change your thought patterns and processes and how you receive and transmute information. I'm proud of you. It takes a lot. It takes everything in you to change your habits, especially since you've spent your whole life developing them. It'll probably be the most difficult thing you do, but if I have your trust at all, I'll ask you to trust me that it'll be worth your while, and that the last 2.5, 3 months of my life have been the most incredible, the most open, the most heartfelt. I've cried more in the last couple of months than I probably have my whole life, and I feel healthier than I ever have in my whole life. So I think that there's something there. But either way, I guess I'll wrap it up. I'll stop ranting, and I'll say God bless. I love you all, and until next time, Mr. Wolford signing off from Sturgis.